crypto is not an investment, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because some people think it is, and the problem is that it's not. And really, if you know that a cryptocurrency is trending, you already lost. And the problem is everyone has the fear of missing out, but really, I think you're missing out on nothing by just not investing in it. Crypto is a currency, but not an investment. There's no underlying cash flow. It doesn't generate any income, and it's not really a real business that sells anything. It's not an investment that really appreciates with any value. It's the only value it has is what somebody else in the market is willing to pay for it, but it has no underlying value. There's no cash flow. There's no financials behind it, and that's not really an investment. But I think crypto's okay if you think it's a currency, but as an investment, no. And if you already think that you should invest in it, like say you have some money and crypto went up, that's the worst time to buy. And just, I recommend not at all. It's not an investment. And the problem is that people get crypto twisted by thinking, hey, in the future it's going to be worth this much, but you really have no idea other than scarcity, really. But there's no time frame. There's no way to know how much it's going to grow because there's no underlying cash value, really. It's only the value of a currency, but that's not an investment. That's a currency, right? And as an investing strategy, I would not really get cryptocurrency almost at all, but I probably would put a small portion into companies that use crypto. I think that's probably the closest thing, is a company that can cash flow from crypto. Like, I mean, there's a couple on the public stock exchanges like Coinbase, but they don't really have the best financials. And I know in the future there's definitely some more. The only thing is it's really hard to find research on that because crypto is so hard to research. Pretty much it's just a currency, right? But if there are companies, I think the best one is, I just thought of MicroStrategy. They use crypto, lend it out as if it's a currency. That's what you should do, right? It doesn't really work any other way as it's a currency, right? You could say it's an investment because over time it went up a lot, and yeah, you might be right, but that isn't really an investment. There's no cash flow. That's the entire basis of an investment. If you buy a property and it doesn't cash flow, it's not an investment. It's not an asset, and it's actually a liability because it's losing you money. And let's say you buy crypto at the top of a peak of, say, on Bitcoin when it was, I don't even pay attention to the price. I think it was like 80, 90,000. And then, if you bought it at that much, now it's a liability because it's gonna probably go down. I don't see any other way, really. I mean, it's tough, and it's the risk that nobody talks about, and its volatility is worse than oil. And at that point, I'd rather just trade oil. I mean, the cryptos can go to zero at any time because really there's nothing for it as a company. If it loses a ton of value, it can't recoup as much as the value because it's not a business that has to sell off any assets to be able to pay the debts. So the only way that it is actually able to function is through really just almost going to zero, and then maybe some people hype it up and buy it again. But if an investment is based on hype, I wouldn't, because that's just speculation at its finest. I mean, that's like even worse than day trading, because at least with day trading there are patterns and things you could recognize that some people at the highest skill level can really take advantage of. But with crypto, I don't think really anybody can. people don't tell you that risk. I mean, most of crypto also has scams with these currencies. Like, everybody hypes it up, and then a few days later it's all gone because whoever was at the top or whoever had the most currency sold it to people who wanted to buy into the hype, right? Because the only way it could gain value is if someone else is going to pay that much for it. So if it's hyped up and people are willing to buy that much for that crypto, then really that's how they scam you. And then when they see that you want to sell that after somebody bought it for that much, they bought it off of some guy who, say, started the crypto or something, they bought it, and now when they want to go and sell it, they can't sell it for anything, and then everybody realizes they can't sell the crypto for anything, and then the value goes down because there's nothing to back the value. And that's the biggest problem. And really, what to do instead of crypto, if you want to still be involved in the crypto space, I think you still can, because it's a currency. I think there's actual value in it as a means of trade, but not as an investment. And good ones to really invest in, there are some like technology ETFs. I don't know the exact one on the top of my head, but I know if you go on Yahoo Finance, you could search up yourself. If you make an account, it could tell you all the different ETFs or different things. You can look at different industries. And for cryptocurrency specifically, there was MicroStrategy, where they lend out and use cryptocurrency as a currency. If you can find the company that uses crypto as a currency instead of as an investment, then I think that's pretty good, especially since now the government just said they were going to have a crypto reserve. I think that's pretty good, because if you have currency on reserve, that means that it actually has a value. Because, I mean, same thing with gold. If you store it, its value still increases because of its scarcity, and you could have it as a reserve and maybe borrow off of that reserve or something. I don't recommend the US borrowing off of a cryptocurrency reserve. That seems a little wild, but that is something that, I mean, who knows? The government does a lot of crazy things sometimes, but the main point is, please just don't invest in crypto. I would not invest in it, because it's really not an investment. By definition, it's not an investment, it's a currency, right? And just with that alone, the speculation is out of control. I only see one reason where cryptocurrency can, like, say, Bitcoin, really solidify its value so it isn't as speculative, and that is if multiple countries adopt it as a currency, because now it's a means of trade, right? Now that it's a means of trade, other people use it, because now you have a bunch of buyers on one side and a bunch of sellers on the other side, both who want to use crypto. Now there's something of value between that exchange, right? But the problem is, on cryptocurrency, a market isn't really gonna find as much value in it over a long period of time. It's gonna be super speculative because there's no underlying value. But if crypto starts being used as a means of trade like Bitcoin, then it's not bad. But I wouldn't invest in it as if it's gonna make me any money, because to me, I think of it as a liability. It's something that, like, even I had some, like, this was years ago when I was younger. I just put like a couple $100 in, it skyrocketed up to like $1,000, and then I just left it there, and then a couple days later it was like worth nothing. Yeah, I lost money, but I wanted to see what would happen. And I mean, that happens all the time. I put it in Bitcoin, I think just like $300 in there. I forgot what time it was, like during 2020. Yeah, during Corona. But for me, crypto's really just a bet. It's not a business at all. I mean, if you want to go that way, at least use it as a means of currency. Find somebody else to trade goods and services with, so that it has that value, like the US dollar, right? It's valuable because it's backed by the country and it's used to buy goods and services. But with crypto, you can't do that with every single thing, and that's why it's not too valuable yet. I think that it probably can go up, but not as an investment, because it's too volatile. Even if you did make money on that, I think, to me, if you're not really rich, like I'm talking tens of millions, then really it's not too worth it, because there's a certain point where the means of trade can get you really good deals on things. Like if you have a lot of money, and maybe since you have a large amount that you could use as a means of trade, and if you had some in crypto to store that means of trade, then yeah, but it doesn't work for it. Like 99% of people, and I think everyone can get into investments. That's my theory. I really think anybody can get into investments, but crypto is just not, it's not one of them. It's not gonna work for you. And my last thing is, just don't, especially since the truth is crypto makes a lot of noise. All these news, oh, Bitcoin's gonna hit 100,000. People said that years ago, and they said like 4 years ago, they say, oh, crypto's gonna hit 100,000 next year, and then it went down. There's just too much speculation, and investing builds wealth quietly, without news articles, without noise. If you want to invest, you gotta focus on a signal, on a clear path. I know this is gonna get me there. That's what I'm gonna focus on, right? And with actual picking on investments, like for me, I started pulling in money into this investment account, and I just let S&P 500 ETFs grow, and then eventually I'm gonna invest some of that money into a couple properties. I would not start off with one, because that's a little too risky, and I'm not trying to find the golden tenant. That's not possible. So really, I think for most people, the best thing to do is start pulling up money, and if they want later on to focus on something that is a bigger investment, because that way you get to still focus on busy life, no headache with all sorts of stuff going on. You don't have to worry about the next crypto hype train. And really, long-term mindset has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. And I think cryptocurrency could be a means of trade, but I don't think it's something with value. That is something that I just wanted to share, because anybody can invest. There's no point in saying only a certain amount of people can invest in it. That it's not worth it as an investment if nobody can invest in it. I mean, the same thing with a product. If not everybody can buy it, then what's the value in it? I just want to teach everybody about investments. That's my thing. Also with things that I've learned. It's a tough game out there, because it's really easy to lose a lot of money, and I've learned the hard way from actually losing money before I made it. The best things, and really, it's just cash flow at the end of the day, whether it's a company or say ETF investment, a property later down the line. I think most people will probably be able to buy a property if they have significant investments, and I think it just starts with discipline. Cryptocurrency is not going to get you there. There's no discipline by putting in monthly into a cryptocurrency, because what am I going to do with it? All I could do is sell it to somebody else for a higher price. It has no business behind it, and that is why cryptocurrency is not an investment. And please just start off with the basics. If something has too much hype behind it, it's not really an investment. From reading multiple books, especially on The Intelligent Investor, there's a lot of hype behind something. That's speculation, and speculation, it's such a polarizing thing. it has such high highs and such low lows, but the low lows are much more common, and I don't want anybody watching this to lose money. It's not worth it losing money. And I think an investment, it shouldn't be just about if I'm gonna lose money. I want it to be an asset, right? Cryptocurrency, you could say it's an asset because it's a reserve currency, but not an investment. And I'm a future thinker. I think about the future, what I could do in the future, and I just don't see cryptocurrency as an investment, nor is it actually an investment. And I appreciate anyone who's watching this.